911s are going for over 50,000 bucks all day long, all of them. It's incredible. Every single one of them. And if you're trying to find deals in these cars, it's not gonna happen. People are asking and getting over 20 grand for body shells with titles. Body shells, remember, means no engine, no transmission, no interior, no nothing. Over 20 grand. Rebuilt cars that have been totaled by the insurance company, they're fetching over 30 grand. And they still have to be rebuilt, reconstructed, and applied for a new title. And when you get the title, it's gonna be a branded rebuilt title after throwing at least 40,000 bucks. This is unlike anything else. There's nothing like it. Zero. Looking at 911 pictures online, it is impossible to tell exactly what you're getting. Impossible. You can't see the build quality in that car. It's just not there. You can't see it through a picture. You can't see the headlights that are glass instead of plastic. Everything in the car is like that. It's built to outlast the owner. Well, let me tell you, those waiting for the prices on these cars to come down will be waiting indefinitely, because this is not a recent trend. These cars have always been like this. If you're new to the market, you might think, whoa, they've gone up a lot in recent years. But no, this is the way it's always been. I remember in the late 1990s, it was the same thing. You would buy a 911, hold it, and sell it for more. And people thought it was crazy. Better than the stock market. As a matter of fact, that's how me and my brother, we had a lot of cool cars, but we weren't rich. We just kind of figured out that you buy the car at a certain price, you drive it, and you sell it for more. Specifically with 911s. But seeing the prices today is just a continuation of what has always happened with these cars. Air-cooled 911s have been going up in value regardless of trends. There were never any deals on 911s ever. Even when happened that the market crashed, where everything's got to do with used cars, me and my brother took a heavy hit with what we had. Still, the people that wanted the 911s were there. Everything else took a hit, not the 911. So this is not a recent trend. This is the way it's always been with these cars. I don't see that changing. One thing with buying any used car, specifically one that could be over 40 years old, is reliability. What do you have to do to that car to actually make it enjoyable to drive daily if you want? The good thing about the 911s is that they've never gone through a down period in values where people deferred maintenance. So for example, cars that I love that did not have the same trend as the 911s are the 944 and the 928. 944s and 928s, for many years, the prices went down and stayed down. For a lot of that time period, when the time came to sell the car, it wasn't worth throwing thousands of dollars in maintenance on these cars. So a lot of those cars for many years were neglected. It's a huge factor if you want to buy a car and enjoy it. And that never happened with air-cooled 911s. These are cars that the owners spent whatever it cost to have it always in tip-top shape. So you'll rarely find any of these cars abandoned, neglected because it wasn't worth fixing. No, these cars have always been worth fixing, cost whatever it costs, because you will always get your money back. So in that sense, it removes so much of the risk when you're purchasing one of these cars. You don't know if it's going to be a money pit or not. Yes, in the 911s, you actually do know. Most of them come with a stack of records going back to when they came out of the dealer. And these are cars that you could drive them every single day. So that alone removes a lot of hesitancy when somebody's trying to buy these cars. They're just not nervous about the purchase because they know they're going to buy something that has always been maintained, perhaps even over maintained, because the values have always supported doing whatever needed to be done to these cars. I know of air-cooled 911 owners that keep most of their collection in storage, and they keep changing out their tires every 4 or 5 years because the tires get old. So they'll take off old brand new tires and put a new set of new tires, which are probably only going to get 200 to 300 miles a year anyways. So they just want to keep it in that condition. That's how fanatical owners of air-cooled 911s are. Details, details, details. Always maintaining their cars, perhaps sometimes over maintaining them. You don't see that in other markets, perhaps the Ferrari market, and not even as much, not even close. And another factor why these cars are so easily maintained and you can find so many shops working on these cars, because they're unbelievably simple, especially the wiring. I've never seen so many engine out, wiring out restorations of any car of any kind, period. When you restore a 911, you take it out and you put it in the rotisserie, and it's done regularly throughout the world. When you take it apart, it's really simple to put it back together. Every single nut and bolt is easy to put back together. And if you've done one, you can do 10. It's that simple to work on. That ease of maintenance and that ease of working on is the reason that you have body shells selling for 20 grand. Because if you know what you're doing, and many do, you can easily build yourself any kind of car you want, as long as you have the body shell and the title. And so the ease of maintenance on these cars is a huge factor. The simplicity. You're never going to have any trouble finding air-cooled 911 technician to work on your car. I don't think that's also going to change. One last part about the maintenance. Engine and tranny drop out in an afternoon. They're so simple that even before 1989, none of them have power steering. This is just an entire element that's removed of the maintenance of that car. Less headaches. So which cars can you possibly compare an air-cooled 911 to as far as the marketplace? Well, the only cross-shopping that I've seen air-cooled 911 buyers do is with newer 911s. But usually the case is that they'll have an air-cooled 911 and they'll have a newer one. But they always keep the air-cooled 911 in the garage and they can daily the new one. So it's a little bit of a different market. Another huge factor in air-cooled 911s is that when you purchase an air-cooled 911, no car ever stays stock. Very few are left stock actually. These cars are a starting point to make it your own because no car is more customized than the air-cooled 911s. There is more aftermarket manufacturers building specific engine out restorations of these cars than virtually any single other car on the market. Even Porsche made a brand new old air-cooled 911, this one, and they customized it exactly how a lot of tuners like Singer do because there is a huge market for that and it's sold for a big money. This car is not even road legal because Porsche as a manufacturer gave this car a new VIN number. Every new car that they make have to comply with the modern safety regulations. Well, this one doesn't. This is a show car for display at events. Yet you see what the air-cooled 911 market is. Even Porsche now is making air-cooled 911s. That doesn't exist with any other car. Even Porsche is there to meet the demand, even if they can't give you a road legal car. So a lot of times, the huge entry price is just a starting point, like a blank canvas, before you really start throwing money on it and making it your own. This is truly a car where when people customize it, it is an open bank account. And you can see it in the market. There are countless custom air-cooled 911s that people are making their own. And it's usually a safe investment. So if you're looking at air-cooled 911s, which are the best? Well, for me, it would be an 87 through 89 G50 transmission car. That to me is the sweet spot. But the market doesn't necessarily agree with me. So for example, all air-cooled 911s drive about the same, except for the G50 cars. From 1987 to 89, the new G50 transmission came in that it changed the way that car shifted gears. And those cars have always cost more than the earlier 915 transmission cars. But that has actually changed since 2020. A nice 1985 915 transmission car will cost more than a ragged out 1988 G50 transmission car. That wasn't always the case. That's a huge trend that I'm seeing now. Why would somebody choose a car that is kind of harder to drive than one that is more modern? And specifically to actually pay more for a 915 transmission car versus a G50. These are very different driving experiences. The G50 could drive like a normal Honda. The earlier cars, they're a little bit difficult to shift. But that difficulty is part of the 911 driving. Nothing about the 911 should be comfortable. As a matter of fact, Porsche is the only manufacturer that removes stuff and charges more. And there's a reason for this. When you're driving a 911, it's not supposed to be super comfortable. That's not that car's purpose. That car's purpose is something else. Every single year has something different about it. They're all fantastic. Anything with a 3.0 or a 3.2 is a daily driver. And the 2.7s can be made to scream also. In many ways, they could be funner because you have to really rev them, so they're really fun. What most people see with these air-cooled 911s is the price. They see how expensive they are relative to what they were new, what people are willing to spend on them with open bank accounts, whatever it costs to bring it up to maintenance or to upgrade it. But at the end of the day, no car drives like an air-cooled 911. Nothing even comes close. If you're looking at numbers like this, these numbers mean nothing. In the same way that you have more fun in a roller coaster, even though the roller coaster is not that fast, why do you pay the ticket and get on the line? Because it's a bigger thrill. That's exactly the same thing with the air-cooled 911. And when you strip luxury, you get more roller coaster. You can get it to the point that it almost feels like you have a chainsaw at your back. It's freaking crazy. You're not gonna get that anywhere else. And that's why these prices are the way that these prices are on these cars. So for a lot of people, they just decided they don't want to make that line. They want to have it parked outside, whatever it costs. And that's what the air-cooled 911 is. It was like that 20, 30 years ago, and it's gonna be the same in another 30 years when cars are electric but boring. So that's the way I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think.